There's worse things to have than Backstreet Boys songs stuck in your head.
That's true.
Not their best song, in my opinion.
No, it's definitely not their best song, but that was the one that was just on.
Yeah. We're not talking about the Backstreet Boys.
No. Are we recording?
Yeah, we have been.
We're live?
Yeah.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
I just want to double check again.
Yeah, because you thought you were recording before and you weren't.
Yeah. No, yeah, we have been.
Got a big red dot.
Been live for about 100 seconds.
Nice.
I already brought up Bill O'Reilly. Did you see that video of him seeing, I guess he was interviewing Woody Allen and seeing him in New York City? And I know Woody Allen's a small guy, but I didn't realize how tall Bill O'Reilly was. He's like, and I looked it up and he's like 6'6".
Really?
Yeah. You see him come into frame. Like, it's just a New York shot. You see Bill O'Reilly come into frame. You see old-ass fucking Woody Allen and his stepdaughter/wife. Yeah. Old-ass her, like, helping him down the street. He's talking to somebody, and then you see just big-ass Bill O'Reilly coming.
I guess I always just thought he gave off, like, Napoleonic complex energy.
Me
so
too.
I just thought he was, like, 5'8".
Me too. No, 100%. I guess, yeah, that's a good call. I get it has always been Napoleonic complex.
Yeah, that was the energy, I thought.
Pounding their fists and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's a good start.
You didn't even do the intro yet.
Like we said, we'll do it live. And we will be live in 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, welcome back. We'll see what happens to podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris Mitchell. And in a city with almost 10 million people, he's back.
What are the odds?
He's back. My guest this week, co-host of the podcast, My Boyfriend Loves Bravo, my writing partner, one of the funniest dudes on the planet, one of the best dudes on the planet. Stop. As you guys already know, Drew Giacalone. Welcome back. Appreciate you doing this.
Happy to be here.
As always, appreciate you doing this. It's actually hilarious, and I said to you when I saw you wearing this Bryce Young jersey that we are talking Panthers.
Yes.
Because being so... And we'll just get right into it. We'll
see what happens.
We got things to say. We'll see what happens. So, you being from, as we talked about last time, as everybody already knows, you bounced around Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah.
One of those places being Carolina, which is... Because being a Panthers fan outside of Carolina is
doesn't
bizarre.
exist.
It's bizarre.
I've never met anyone that was a Panthers fan that wasn't from either North or South Carolina.
No.
Also, hot take, it should just be the North Carolina Panthers. I hate that it's both. Hot take, no one cares about South Carolina.
That's fair. There's some big cities in South Carolina.
That's a lie. Charleston's great. Myrtle Beach is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I had a good time in Columbia. Shout out Ahum when she worked over there, visited a couple times, and Columbia was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
it's Charlotte. It should just be North Carolina. You know,
right?
It sounds better Carolina Panthers than North Carolina Panthers,
right? Or the Charlotte Panthers. Carolina Panthers does sound cooler.
Let me tell you, nobody in North Carolina is like, yeah, we represent. They represent both the Carolinas, not just North, but no one's doing that. No one cares.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, not to get super nerdy, but like going back and being the history nerd that I am, just like kind of recently saw that like the difference between North Carolina and South Carolina like goes back to Civil War times of like, and I know North Carolina had slavery, whatever, but they were like the more progressive state. They always were the more progressive state.
Which is someone who lived in North Carolina, that says a lot.
South Carolina, what are we doing?
This is the place where I found out what racism was when I moved there. I didn't know what it was until I moved to North Carolina.
You weren't aware before that like somebody would not like someone else because of the color of their skin?
I didn't understand the concept.
That's good.
I guess, and I mean, I came from Richmond, which was the home of the Confederacy. But,
True.
But there's so many northern transplants there, and I guess just the area that I was in, the Richmond suburbs, it just, I don't know. I guess we didn't get the like bumpkiny racist types there. So like, I never thought about it. I had, classmates that weren't the same color as me. Our neighbors that we had dinner with all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like, it just never occurred to me. And then I moved to North Carolina, and like, I was just like, what is happening? What did you call them? What does that mean? What is happening? And I had to like come home and like ask my parents about it. It was a whole thing.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
learning about
It
racism
is.
at.
It is.
I mean, you were
I was
what?
10.
You were 10.
11. I was 11.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty good ways to make it.
Right.
I think by
and-
then I was aware of, like, I didn't feel that way. And I knew it wasn't the right way to feel, but I was aware that people felt that way.
Right. And I'm sure that other people in Richmond that didn't look like me experienced stuff that I just wasn't
They
privy-
learned it younger.
obviously,
Yeah, right.
you know. But I just wasn't aware that that was even a thing.
Yeah. But North Carolina does get bumpkiny.
Come on and raise up.
Yeah.
Come on and raise up. Yeah.
I wonder if Petey Pablo has stories of just not niceness.
Oh, I'm sure he does. But to go back to the original point, it should just be the North Carolina Panthers. That's the tangent we just ran on.
That's great, yeah. We did just dive right into it. Because I find it very interesting that you are a Panthers fan. Of all the people that I've met, of all the different fans of teams I've met, you know, it's a unique one.
Yeah,
But
they
you
don't
live
exist
there, so
outside
it makes
of-
sense. And you were ripe to become a fan there, essentially, too, because of the age you were, and also they were a new team, weren't you? Weren't they,
Yeah,
when
so
you moved there?
I moved to Charlotte in 1997. They had just become a team in 95, and I was moving from Richmond, and we didn't have the closest football team we had was the Redskins, and they were not like close. So like I didn't really like follow football really because there wasn't anything for me to follow. Like I was a baseball kid, but one of the like most hype things about moving to North Carolina for me was that we were moving to a city that had a football team. It was like I'm going to learn about football and like be in like this is my team now, and I was so hype on that. And they were, God, were they dog shit? They were terrible, and I was like, well, this tracks. this tracks for my kind of fandom. But you know, we had a couple really fun years that I watched when I lived there. Was that 2000? Is it 2003? I think they went to the Super Bowl. Actually, beat the Eagles to get to either to the NFC Championship game or to the Super Bowl. I can't remember who they beat that year. I think it was to get to the Super Bowl. We beat the Eagles that year.
That would make sense, actually, because it was really like... Because that was the stretch of Andy Reid getting a bunch of NFC championships. Getting to the NFC Championship a bunch.
That
would make sense.
I can tell you where I was. I was, you know.
Those were great. Those were great teams, too. I mean, that's your boy Steve Smith, right?
Steve Smith, Jake Delhomme, Stephen Davis, Julius Peppers. There were so many fun players to watch. And I just felt like we had never been good in the time that I was living there. And I was like, we're not gonna, I was like, man, we're good, but is it going to happen? Though. You know?
That's pretty quick turnaround for what is that, 6 years?
Yeah, and I mean, their first year, this is before I moved there, I think they made it to the NFC Championship game in 96. I think it was 96, but I wasn't paying attention at that point, so to me it didn't count.
Yeah, right, true.
But it was a lot of teams that just weren't great, you know, and like I had favorite players who were like, in the grand scheme of things, not the best. Like I have a Tim Bianca Patuca jersey. You know, he had a couple good games. You know, he wasn't the best, but I was like, yo, but that year, whatever year it was, you know, he did good. And,
yeah, right.
We always had like a couple good players, but not a good team, and then 2003, it was just such a fun year. Steve Smith is probably, he might be my favorite football player, like ever.
Period?
Yeah, just because like, he was the first guy, he was probably my first favorite football player as far as like a guy on my team. You know, like as a kid, I loved like Jerry Rice and Steve Young and like players like that. But like, I wasn't fully invested in all those teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were into the marketing of these guys or whatever it was at the time. You were a kid. It was just you liked these guys.
But Steve
it wasn't
Smith was
something you felt a connection to.
No.
Yeah.
Steve Smith, I love that he was short because I was a short kid. I'm a short guy, so I was like, look at this guy just kicking ass against these like 6'5" corners. You know, he was like 5 foot nothing, whatever the hell he was. Mm-hmm. And it was just, he just had his attitude. Like when he, I forgot who it was that he was beefing with. This is like a year or two before he left the team. But I guess this other defensive corner was talking shit. Talib. I think it was Talib. I can't remember who it was. But
Talib Kweli, the rapper.
Also played football. But he said,
the more you know,
talking shit about each other before the game, and I guess he burned him like twice for a touchdown or something, and that guy ended up getting hurt and like leaving the game. So after the game, this is one of my favorite like post game interviews ever. The guy comes up to Steve Smith. He's like, "So what was that going on between you and Talib?" He goes, "I don't know. He didn't finish the game. You got to ask him. Ice up, son. Ice up," and just walks away. I was like, "That's the most baller shit I've ever seen in my entire life."
Shit. That is the best. Shit. Yeah, no, he always played with attitude. He always had. There's plenty. I've seen like compilations of Steve Smith.
Just
that crack me up.
killing.
But also just killing it too, though.
Yeah.
Like he says, small dude that could like bruise through someone.
Mm-hmm. Anybody.
Yeah, and was he there his whole career?
No, so the Panthers cut him, or I don't think they traded him. I think they cut him, and then he went and played for the Ravens for I think it was like 2 years.
Ah,
and that was when he started going by Steve Smith Sr.
Oh, you're right. I do remember that.
I kind of want that jersey.
That's
now,
a pretty
actually.
dope jersey.
Yeah, I love the Ravens. Got the best unis, I think, in like maybe sports.
They do have
the colors
ones.
are great. The color combos, the black jerseys are the best.
It's good.
And Steve was still kicking ass. He was like in his late 30s, just like burning dudes.
That was his thing as far as where he could be traded to. He only will be at the NFL's top jerseys because the Panthers have dope jerseys too.
They do.
Like, he needs to look fresh.
Yeah, even Tiff, who doesn't like football, she's like, at least you have a team that I like their colors. They've got great colors.
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
Like, yes,
that light blue is
great. They do have great colors.
That light blue is great. My older sister had and shouting out my dad. Why did you let her do this? Like we're Philadelphia. Why did you let her have a Panthers starter jacket? It's dope
because they were dope.
It's dope. I mean, and that's what it was. They were dope, and it was a kid, but also, come on, Dad.
Damn it, Ken. What are you doing?
But it was dope though. Thank
you for doing my taxes though, Ken. You're the best. Shout out to Ken Mitchell, my guy.
Don't actually. He's retired.
Special circumstances.
No, but honestly, like I feel like if you asked most people to think of outside of like a jacket they had, a starter jacket, those classic starter jackets with the front pocket, people would think of the Panthers one.
Yeah, or the Hornets. I get a lot too.
Hornets was dope one.
A lot of people had the Hornets stuff because again, great colors.
Yeah,
and like a 90, like one of my bosses, I had a Hornets hat on the other day. And he was like, that just feels so 90s to me.
Absolutely.
Like, he's like, I feel like everyone had Hornets gear at some point in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, and were they good in the 90s?
They had runs. I mean, they never, I feel like the deepest they went into the playoffs, I think the Bulls might have knocked them out or something like that. I can't remember.
In the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or was the Magic? I can't remember.
You're right though. They've always had dope uniforms. Crazy what happened like with them leaving Charlotte, and like that franchise becoming what it was.
The Pelicans.
The Charlotte still getting a team.
Yeah, so they left. Back. They went to New Orleans, became the Pelicans, and then the Charlotte got a new franchise,
Bobcats
expansion team owned by Bob Johnson, and he put his name in the name, the Bobcats.
Is that why?
That's
why the Bobcats?
Why. Yeah, I'm pretty
Who
sure
was
that
Bob
was
Johnson?
Why. Some rich guy, I don't know.
Some rich fuck.
Yeah, and then they just did. No one cared for years, and then they were like, "What if we call them the Hornets now?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, bring them back!" You know, like, "Oh, we're gonna bring them back. You guys are gonna come back now, watch basketball, right? Otherwise, you're gonna sell this fucking team." All right, we'll come back if you call them the Hornets.
Yeah, we like that.
Y'all gonna bring back Muggsy Bogues too? He was the best.
Muggsy's a little old.
Oh, Muggsy's a little old to be playing.
Aww.
What if Michael Jordan owns part of the team? All right, that'll do.
That's a good trade-off.
Yeah. Also, the worst drafter ever. As far as like scouting talent, Michael Jordan, how he was on the court, was the opposite as a drafter.
Just didn't
and scouting. The teams he drafted and like those picks were horrendous. I don't remember specific names. That's probably why, because they were all so bad. I feel like none of those guys, like under his ownership or whatever it was, he was an owner, right?
He was a part owner, I think, at some point.
But he was, I think, involved in the drafting process also. feel like none of those teams were good, and none of those players ever panned out like those first-round guys.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just searching even this, though, like, there was a whole Reddit thread saying, is Michael Jordan the worst drafter of all time?
See?
Yes.
You see?
Let's see.
Everyone was so hyped, too. They're like, oh, Jordan's going to be great because he's a good player. He can see that in other players. Wrong.
I mean, so yeah, and they start this off with his only home run, and this is a good draft pick, but they fucked it up though. Also, they like let him waste there, and then ended up trading him anyways. But Kemba Walker,
right?
Which was a
by
good
the time
pick.
he was gone, he was just not the same player anymore. Yeah, Adam Morrison, I remember that one.
Yeah,
Adam Morrison, he was a good college player, but I think he was most remembered for hysterically crying on the court after they got knocked out. I think it was Gonzaga,
right?
If I remember correctly.
Well,
I just remember him with his little mustache just crying on the court and everyone being like, oh, poor Adam.
I'm seeing these names and I'm being like, oh, this isn't terrible, but it's also where he's drafting these people. Like he took Jared Dudley at 22 overall. He took Adam Morrison at 3 overall.
Right.
He took Frank Kaminsky at 9 overall. I mean,
like I feel like his deal was like
3 overall LaMelo Ball.
Oh.
Who has panned out, but
also hurt all the time though.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like for him, it was more like, how are they in college, and not as much as how is that going to translate to the NBA, if that makes sense. You know? Just because you're, an amazing player in like one of my favorite players ever from Syracuse, Jerry McNamara.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Jerry's just great.
G-Mac, he was great. He could drain threes from anywhere on the fucking court. I don't even think he got drafted.
I don't think so.
So it's like you can be good there. It's like those perennial AAA players in baseball, right? Like they rake in AAA, but they're hitting 350 in AAA. As soon as you call them up, they're hitting 119 in the majors after 40 games. They just don't. You don't get that extra step,
Different games, different. I mean, there's different things that go into it and everything, and sometimes your strengths aren't going to be that thing.
Right.
And who knows? Jordan probably could have been a good or even great coach, because those things I feel like great players, especially ball handlers, translate to good coaches because of how they see the game and how they. So he could have been, but he didn't. He never tried that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he necessarily knows, or because again. He sounds like he's fun, but he also sounds like he's a degenerate. I don't know how much work he necessarily wanted to do.
I think he said that he didn't want to be a coach because, or was that Kobe? It was either him or Kobe that said that they didn't want to coach because they knew that other players wouldn't put in the amount of work that they themselves would put in, and he didn't want to put that on other players, demand what he demanded of himself from other players.
Thinking that would be unfair.
Because it would be unfair.
Yeah, which is fair to say. Which is fair to say.
And I was like, well, that's at least you're being self-aware at that point.
Yeah. He's saying that he doesn't think that it's going to be. He's realizing that wouldn't translate.
Right. I love that we're going through the whole history of Charlotte, North Carolina sports. Also.
Yeah, we did get.
What a banger of the first 10 minutes.
Just from wanting to talk about. Cam Newton.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And, it's the Panthers in general, Cam Newton in general, because another time when the Panthers saw some success was with Cam Newton. Mm-hmm. And I know he's a polarizing figure at this point.
Yeah, I was so hyped when they got him. And even the first several years of him as a player, I thought he was one of the most exciting players that I had watched since, he reminded me of, a bigger Michael Vick, the way he would control the field basically. He could throw it, and then he could also burn you. It was tough for defenses to factor in for that, right? So he was exciting to watch. One of my favorite moments ever in a football game was I think they were playing Green Bay, and the defense sees what they're about to run, or they see how everyone's set up. They call an audible. And Cam looks at the guy who called the audible. He goes, "Oh, you've been watching film, huh? All right, watch this." Snaps the ball and then scores a touchdown.
That's great.
I was like, that is the best thing. Literally saying, "Oh, you think you know what's going to happen? Great. What? Fuck you. Watch this shit now."
I was waiting for you to tell me Cam did the longest yard bid. He threw the ball at his dick. Oh yeah, well watch this.
He would. No, but so he was fun to watch for a long time. And then I feel towards the end of his tenure with the Panthers, It started to go south for me at the Super Bowl when they went to the Super Bowl against the Broncos. Which, side note, I don't think that they were ever going to win that game, and I don't mean that because the team wasn't able to. I mean that because I think that we always talk about script writers in sports and how sometimes things feel like
Peyton wasn't losing that.
Well, I don't think Peyton was going to lose that game no matter what happens.
That was a great Broncos team, too.
It was a very good Broncos team, but I felt that they had the upper hand, and I felt like they did too. I mean, obviously, this was many years before, but that Super Bowl against the Patriots, I thought that they were going to win that Super Bowl, and I think that that also came down to not script writing, but nefarious shit like them.
Who knows?
Them taping the practices and all that stuff.
Yeah, who knows?
Whatever, but during that Super Bowl,
Belichick's girl,
bro, good for him. Good for him. Way to go, Bill.
I'd be if he was my friend, I'd be asking him like, is everything cool? but also, as not knowing him,
good for you. He's retired, basically. He's chilling. Let him live his life.
You see, he met her. She's 24. He met her on a flight, and he signed her college paper that she because that's what they talked about or something. It was like something. It was a philosophical conversation.
So where are you going to college? Where did you get accepted to?
That's great. That's great.
What a crazy person. Oh, God love him. But for me, going back to Cam, in the Super Bowl,
Cam played for Bill.
Yes, he did. Not well.
No.
He just it felt, and I don't want to say this because I know it's not that, but it felt like not trying to jumping on a loose ball, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then to me, the thing that really rubbed me the wrong way was after they lost, him refusing to speak to reporters.
Yeah, I don't like when guys do that. I think that's usually that's a bitch out move.
That's a bitch move.
Yeah.
You played against one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, and you lost.
Yeah.
Just have some respect for everybody, and just talk about what happened. That's all. Even if you hate it, and they all do. You don't want to talk about losing the Super Bowl, right?
Who wants to do that? Nobody.
So that kind of was the start for it for me, and then it felt like and I feel like that just kind of made me be like, oh, what's his deal? And then I feel like I was just looking for stuff at that point. The next season and a couple seasons after, it felt like the game would just start. He'd get hit once, and he'd be limping up to the line like he was this warrior and being oh, I'm in pain.
I can picture this.
And I'm just no one wants to see that. That's not, to me, that's not you being a good leader. That's me being bro, get up to the fucking line and snap the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it just felt like he was putting on this.
This isn't the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl.
Where you should have performed last time.
Yeah, right.
So to me, it was just, I think ever since the Super Bowl, really, for me, I kind of went the other way. I love Cam Newton, and I will always cherish those years of watching him play because it was some of my favorite teams, too, because he had, Luke Kuechly, who I think is one of the best defensive players of all time. I wish he hadn't retired because of injuries, but I think he would have been in the Hall of Fame if he didn't get hurt so much and decide to retire.
Real shame.
But those were really fun years to be a Panthers fan. And so I'll always be grateful for that as a fan.
Yeah, no, that's great. Is Cam in your top three? Panthers?
Panthers all time?
Yeah.
For me?
Yeah.
Damn, that's tough. Probably not. I don't think so.
Three?
My top
Kuechly there?
My top three would be Luke Kuechly, Steve Smith, and then I feel like I have to go Julius Peppers.
Oh, that's a good one.
And because I was there when he got drafted too. I was already religiously following, and I was super pumped when they got him.
Yeah,
he was a North Carolina guy. He played at UNC, which I thought was super cool. Great. Cam's probably top four.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I feel like those guys, to me, as a fan, I just love those guys so much.
All right, so fuck, marry, kill. Luke Kuechly, Steve Smith, and Julius Peppers.
I don't know why I took a drink of water after you said that. It wasn't going to be hard for me to actually finish. Fuck, marry, kill. Did you just come up with that on the spot? Did you plan that?
I came up with it on the spot.
That was great.
We'll just go with the spot.
He's an improver, guys. Wow, that's tough. Fuck, marry, kill. Luke Kuechly. Steve Smith and Julius Peppers. I feel like I would marry Luke Kuechly. He just seems like a nice guy. And we decided that it's not I'm getting fucked by this person. It could be that I'm fucking the other person.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna this is not fun. Well, I just love Steve too much. I can't kill Steve, so I gotta kill Pep.
Wow.
And I guess I gotta fuck Steve Smith.
You heard it here, folks. Says he would kill Julius Peppers and have sex with Steve Smith.
Out of con. I can't wait till like this gets unearthed in like 10 years and gets chopped up. And so there's a headline. Drew Giacalone says he would murder Julius Peppers and would fuck Steve Smith.
Cuts to my comment. Oh, yeah, he said that.
You heard it here first, folks.
You've heard it here first.
Oh, my God, it's amazing.
That is great.
What a transition.
That went exactly how I would hope it would.
That's what I love about this show.
Now, real quick, are you excited for the Panthers this year?
I am. I think they did a good job in the draft. Last year was just tough to watch, and I think the coaching was terrible last year. I'm excited about the new head coach, Dave Canales, who came from, I think he was a coach at Tampa Bay. But the work he's done with the quarterbacks in the past, like, 3 or 4 years, he got Geno Smith to be like... Geno Smith, who I never in my life would be like, oh, Geno Smith is a great quarterback.
Oh, no, you know what? You're right. I think he was his he was his coach when Geno won Comeback Player of the Year.
He
what
did.
Was that, 2 seasons ago?
And then the next year, he was working with, what's his name?
Oh, in Tampa. Yeah, it was with Baker.
With Baker Mayfield.
Baker
got that out of Baker,
run.
who had left from Carolina.
They beat us. They beat the Eagles.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what he does. I don't think that it's really Bryce that needs all the help. He had nothing around him. But I'm excited to see what more he can bring out of Bryce. I think once they got some protection for Bryce, they spent money on an O-line, and they got him some more weapons offensively to use. I think the defense will still be solid. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this season.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you're... Like you said, like obviously get more weapons, but it's good to hear that they working on the line.
He was on his ass all the time.
Yeah, which is the worst.
I think he got sacked more than any other quarterback last year.
Which is the worst, and I'll brag. It's something I thankfully haven't had to worry about with the Eagles. Like for years, I've been
great O-line,
blessed with an O-line because you need that. Because like you said last year, like he didn't have threats really. Like he had Adam Thielen coming in for like the end of his career. And Thielen ended up having at least the first half of the season, fantasy football-wise, had a good year.
I think
he was like the number one receiver for a good point.
He definitely was, and I think he had one of the best years of his career, honestly, last year. Yeah, so I think that having him, if he could perform still at that level, and then having other guys, I mean, this is while he was getting double-teamed, because who else was he throwing to?
Right.
Besides Adam Thielen.
Which is so ironic, because when he was in Minnesota, he would get looks because, what's his name? Would it be Jefferson? Did he play with Jefferson?
And then Stephon Diggs.
And Diggs, when he was there, he would get double teamed.
Yeah.
So Thielen would see, and now Thielen's getting double teamed.
And still performing at the level that he's performing at. So I'm excited to see with other people now. They got this tight end who I thought was a steal for where they got him at the draft, who is also friends with this running back that they got. They both went to Texas. I can't think of their names off the top of my head, but I'm excited for what they did. Huh?
Also, Tariq Cohen, running back from Chicago. Because who else did they get from Chicago this year?
From Chicago?
Yeah. No, like a receiver.
Oh! No, it wasn't Chicago. It was the dude from the Steelers. Deontay...
Johnson.
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he does, too.
Yeah. He's shown flashes of being really good.
Yeah. His statistical numbers. Like, if you look at the stuff he does after the catch and, the percentage of, hard passes he receives. I forget what they call them. They're not hard passes, but they're, not easy catches.
Right.
He's got a high percentage of the...
outside of whatever they call a catchable pass.
Exactly. His Moneyball stats, if you will, are very interesting.
To say the least. No, he's been good. He was another guy that he has been a decent fantasy football player.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a great addition.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited. And you guys, I'm sure, will be fine.
And we play you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we figure out if it's in Philly or in North Carolina? If it's in Philly, I would be down to figure out a way to get some tickets and go to that game. I would definitely not wear my Panther stuff. I would wear it under something because Philly fans are the worst.
Shout out, oh, true. Yeah, well, shout out Matt Alari. We'll bring you up again when we talk about cheesesteaks, but always does. He's had season tickets for 20 plus years.
Love that.
With his uncle and his cousin and his dad. R.I.P. Great man, Pete.
Yeah.
But we can we'll go to his tailgate.
I love that.
Maybe we'll stream. We'll do a live pod.
We'll see what happens with the Panthers fan in
Philly. In Philly, December.
It is in Philly.
8th.
Let's figure
At
it
1
out.
o'clock.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
I'd be down.
Yeah, no, because that'll be good. What, you wouldn't wear Panthers gear?
No. The last time that I wore an opposing team's gear to a game in Philly was I was in high school. It was Dollar Dog Night, and I was wearing Mets stuff in Philly, and I was very drunk. And someone started. The Mets, of course, lost in a walk-off, and at the end of the game, and someone got in my face, who was twice the size of me, and was like, "Fuck you, fuck the Mets," and for whatever reason, I took that shit personally, and I don't remember who I was with, but I lunged at this guy,
Damn,
who was twice the size of me, and. I think it might have been Sam Bell. Shout out to Sam Bell. I forgot who it was, but people literally grabbed me like, he's gonna murder you. Let's get you out of here before something bad happens. So I don't want a repeat of being heckled. That doesn't make the viewing fun.
How can you not be romantic about baseball? Truly.
Especially my favorite Philly fan, or not favorite, but just for the people listening who don't know what Philly fans are like, one of my favorite stories when I was in Philly that I read was that some guy at one of the games literally stuck his fingers down his throat and turned around and vomited on a small child who was wearing the opposing team's gear. That was in the newspaper or something. And I remember being like, where the hell do we live? What is this?
Maybe should have been talking shit.
Yeah. She's like, fuck the Phillies. He's like, yeah, fuck you, kid.
Fuck you too, kid. Yeah. That is honestly, that's barbaric shit. And,
completely.
And again, I saw it when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, some dude on live TV ate shit. He ate horse shit. And that was it's a bad representation, at least that. But because I know they're out there.
Yeah,
I hate them also.
Right, exactly, exactly.
We're not. It's hard telling someone no. Yeah, you do like the same team as that guy.
Yeah,
who just ate shit.
But all that being said, I'm not wearing a fucking Panthers jersey into Lincoln Financial Field.
That's fair. You would hear shit all day.
All day. I want to enjoy myself. And if they score, you're gonna see me do one of these. Yes.
Yeah. Checking your phone, checking your bets.
Very, yeah, exactly. I'll definitely be doing a FanDuel bet that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to FanDuel. Stop robbing people.
Unless you're trying to sponsor me.
Yeah.
You'll laugh at my agreement that I send you.
Oh, my goodness.
It'll just involve a couple parlays a week.
That's it. My goodness. Yeah, we'll definitely have to go to that game. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. And I guess actually that's a good segue we might as well talk about, because while we're there, the cheesesteak places we'll go to. I want to talk about cheesesteaks.
Yes.
Again, a place that you're from, Philadelphia. I'm from, also. Not living there now. Both of us have kind of for years we're gone from there, but you always keep the cheesesteaks with you.
Always. I had never had a cheesesteak until I moved to Philly.
Really?
Never.
No, not even a version of it?
No, I don't think so. I think the first time I ever had a cheesesteak was in Philly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first cheesesteak was in Philly?
It was either Pudge's or it was Geno's.
Oh. Either way,
I can't
good.
remember. I feel like it was Pudge's.
Pudge's and Bluebell, phenomenal cheesesteak.
And let me tell you,
Overload it.
Let me tell you why I think it was Pudge's, because this would make sense why my review of Geno's was so horrid. I went to Geno's, and they've got the bright lights and the line. It's a whole ordeal. We got there. I got my cheesesteak, and I opened it up, and I looked at it, and I go, this is like barren. Like, I had Pudge's where it was like the meat is overflowing. It's sloppy. There's like cheese all over everything. You need napkin. You need to wash your hands after you have that cheesesteak.
They're still that way.
Yeah, and Geno's was just, it was like a minimal amount of meat. Everything is nice, put together proper. Like, I was like, this is like a tour. It felt like a tourist attraction cheesesteak was the best way I could describe it.
At this point,
never went there again.
Them and Pat's. I personally, of those two, I prefer Pat's over Geno's. I do like Geno's. I think it's a good cheesesteak. Like, if you
it was good.
Want that craving. It
was good.
But you're right. I mean, it is. It's like you said, the lights and everything. It's a shame because they're both they're the first ones.
They're the most famous.
Yeah.
That's what I was told when I moved there. They're like, oh, you got to try Pat's and Geno's, and you got to pick a side.
Their argument is who invented the cheesesteak, because they're both, like, since the 20s. So, like, they're a long time ago. They're, like, legitimately when... And I find it so funny. A cheesesteak, especially at, like, these bigger places, can be, like, $17 anymore. When, like, the cheesesteak originated... And I know we're going back to the 1920s. But, like, it was, like...
35 cents.
It was a poor man's... And I won't even say whatever the price was, but just the purpose of it was for, like, a working person. It's like the sandwich I can have on the go, and it's cheap. It's just...
And it's filling.
Steak, and it's filling.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, exactly, they were probably not even $1.
Yeah, yeah.
No, you're right, though. That's actually... That's pretty spot on for why, overall, I would say... I don't love Pat's and Geno's, because you're right. You're going to get more bread. Not that bread doesn't need to be part of the equation.
No, it's very much a part of the equation, because bread will fuck up the whole thing if you don't have good bread.
And they have good bread, but like you said, it's just too much bread, too little slabs. And they do the slabs of cheese or steak.
Yeah.
Whereas Pudge's chops it up.
And I want it chopped up too.
Yeah,
I want it chopped up too.
I prefer that too. I think they're easier to eat that way. I do sometimes like that kind. I do like that kind, like do a whiz with that kind of I could fuck with a Pat's cheesesteak sometimes.
Yeah.
They're not in my top.
Yeah.
They're not even, I mean, I don't even probably know, not top 5, either of them.
What's your favorite cheesesteak?
My number one is John's.
Well, first, actually, what's your go-to that you put on the cheesesteak?
Well, you know what? And
what's your order, and then what's your like 1 and 2?
So it honestly depends on the type of place that I go to. If I were to go to, I'd even say, so like another top place of mine, Steve's Princess Steaks in the Northeast, does like that slabs. Like they do more similar to Pat's and Geno's, but it's better done and it's more. It's more meat and everything like that. If I go there, I would go whiz with.
Yeah.
I do like a cheesesteak. I'll always get onions.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of cheese. But I do like a cheesesteak with American cheese even sometimes. But whiz with, I would say, is probably like the go-to.
Yeah.
The only time that I'm going to eat cheese whiz like that. I just think that it balances really nice. Cooper Sharp, a lot of places have been doing recently, which is just another American cheese.
Yeah.
But works really well, I think, with like the sharpness, because I think the whiz has kind of a sharpness to it also.
Yeah.
That goes nice with the meat.
So your number one is what?
John's roast pork.
Okay, yeah.
And theirs comes down to, because again, the bread. They do a seeded roll.
I love a seeded roll.
Yeah, so a lot of places have been like switching over to seeded rolls, I've noticed.
Yeah.
But I do love a seeded roll also. But yeah, I got the roast pork the first time I went there.
Yeah.
And I've never been like more disappointed. And like I saw the cheesesteak.
Isn't that funny? How the place that's a roast pork place, the roast pork is kind of slacking, and then the cheesesteak is.
And honestly, it was a good roast pork sandwich. It was more just a testament to how good that cheesesteak was. That I was like, damn, I don't like this is good, but like, and this is a good roast pork sandwich, but I really want a good cheesesteak.
That was me with Denix.
Yeah.
Because like I think they're more famous for their roast pork sandwich, and Reading Terminal Market. Denix, if you haven't gone, go to Denix. It's fantastic.
Phenomenal.
And for me, it's their bread, because they have this. They do the seeded roll or seeded bread also, and it's so fucking good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, agreed. What's your go-to order?
So for me, I generally do I'm like a masochist when it comes to dairy. So I'll do American and Whiz sometimes.
Oh wow.
And then, or I'll have them do like American, and I'll be like, just give me like a dab of a little drizzle on top of the Whiz. I don't need you to, because I got the American.
Yeah, right.
I don't need you to like slather it on. Just
Yeah.
give me a glaze, if you will, on the top of the Whiz. When I was in high school, I was like, give me everything of both. But now my tummy is too sensitive. So normally I do that, and then I'll do mushrooms also.
Okay.
I love mushrooms in a cheesesteak. I don't fuck with peppers. Sometimes I'll throw the onions in there, but generally I don't. I just do also for agita reasons. It sucks getting older with your stomach.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
You
So
do
I
have
got to
to start
think about
making
that
those
shit
choices.
now too. So I usually do Whiz or American, a little bit of Whiz, mushrooms, and I'd say my number one spot, my favorite cheesesteak. Once I found it, I was like, oh, this is the one. Jim's on South Street.
Jim's is number one.
I love Jim's so much.
I was going to ask you this: what's your top three?
So, my top three. Number one is Jim's. Well, my problem is that I'm a creature of habit. So once I find something I really like, I don't really feel like I need to. I'm not venturing out to find a better one.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
What do I need to keep looking for? So one for me is Jim's, and then 2 and 3, it's like a virtual tie for me between Denick's and Pudge's.
Okay.
I love Pudge's.
Yeah.
For the main reason that 1, it was my first one, and 2, I just love that like you get your money's worth at Pudge's.
You do.
You get so much meat. They do such a good job. You're not like, this needs more cheese. I fucking hate that. If I get a cheesesteak and I'm like, this needs more cheese, you should have your fucking license revoked.
Yeah.
Hot take. Hot take. If anyone comes in there and says, this doesn't have enough cheese, you're done.
Yeah, I agree.
You know? And you don't have either of those problems at Pudge's where you're getting enough meat, you're getting enough cheese. You will leave there fully satisfied.
Yeah. No, that's a fact.
And Denick, the reason is why it's like a virtual tie for me, it's strictly the bread that Denick's uses. I love that bread. I don't know where they get it from, but it's so good, and it just brings out, everything else.
Yeah.
It just elevates everything else.
No, it definitely does. You have to have, bread, it needs to be good bread.
Yeah.
That's why, it can be the difference of just, again, be working at Tony and Joe's. Tony and Joe's had a great cheesesteak because it was Contract and Bakery rolls. So it was, really good rolls. So you start off there, and then you can kind of, the rest of the cheesesteak's fairly easy.
Yeah.
Just, make it not a mess also. Make it, easy enough to eat.
Yeah.
Now, what would your top 3 be? We throw out Pudge's, and you do it just within Philadelphia.
I'm trying to think of the other place. There was one other one that I had once. I was with Depot. Shout out to Depot. I was visiting. It was another place that I think was mainly a roast pork place.
Okay.
Could not tell you the name. It felt like it was in the middle of nowhere in Philly. And I just remember a lot of this is going to be the most ADD description you've ever heard in your entire life. I remember a lot of reds. The color of the building was either red or there was red poles or something. I can't remember what the fucking place. I should call Depot. And
was it not John's Roast Pork in South Philly? Because John's is in kind of an industrial area. It's surrounded by warehouses.
Should I call Depot right now? You think he would answer?
He might.
Where's my phone?
This be worth it. Depot, you better answer.
Just for the bit. Depot better answer. Holding for...
Because I am very curious, too. Because you're absolutely right about Pudge's. But, I've said to you, there's just so many good cheesesteaks everywhere.
It's 10:30. I hope he's not mad at me that I'm calling it 10:30.
Tell him we'll be quick.
It's super quick. What a bit.
Yeah. That he's not biting on.
I know. Come on, man. You're killing me. He's going to give me a text as soon as this is done.
Your call has been forwarded to an audit.
All right. Well, so it was probably John's roast.
It might have been. If he does text you, text him back because we need to know.
Yeah.
But so you'd say Jim's, that place,
whatever that place
whatever
is.
that place is,
And Denix.
and Denix. Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's good. That's good. Jim's is my number 2. John's is my number 1, and then Steve's is my number 3.
Yeah.
Now, also honorable mention. You're aware of. We've talked about Angelo's Pizzeria.
I haven't been
in
to
Newtown
Angelo's,
Market.
though. So next time we go to Philly, that's a place that I want to go to.
100%,
for
because
sure.
I've heard, I'd say I could count on multiple hands of like
Yeah.
people who say that's their favorite spot.
Yeah. Is that the place that, what's his name, was like serving cheesesteaks out of? The dude from...
Oh, Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper,
was
yeah.
he did do a collab with them.
Yeah.
They were up here actually.
Yeah.
Which is cool to see, because I love good cheesesteaks in New York. Finding good cheesesteaks, because as you know, and to all of our New Yorkers, you know this, but to Philly people, I want the chopped cheese is like what they're like. What we see up here, and that's not a cheesesteak.
No, it's nothing close to a cheesesteak.
It's an okay sandwich. It's fine.
I love a chopped cheese.
But I love finding a really good like Philadelphia, like they're intending to do it that way type cheesesteak spot.
It took me a few years to find a place that I was... The thing that killed me when I moved here was anytime I found a place that served a cheesesteak, it always came with like red and green peppers. Like that was the default.
By default?
Yeah, which I
Blasphemy.
Yeah, I was like,
Nothing
no.
wrong with the peppers. If you want to do that, we want to put on
If you
whatever
want
you
to
want.
add it on, more power to you. I'm a mushroom guy. I love putting the mushrooms on there, right? But to me, the standard isn't mushrooms on there. So I kind of, and that was always a red flag for me. So anytime I would try them, it just didn't. Even if I got it without it, it didn't taste right. Like they didn't know what they were doing.
We'll put it on here right now that at least I think the standard cheesesteak is just steak and cheese and bread, and then you add on whatever you want, including onions, including whatever normal things.
Yeah.
That you just add on from there.
Yeah.
That if you were to just order a regular cheesesteak, that it's going to be steak and cheese.
For me, the fact that they thought the standard was with peppers was a red flag for me to be like, you're not doing this right without the peppers. And I was generally right.
Yeah.
So eventually I found a place called Shorty's, which I think might have closed since more recently. But they were really, I was like, oh, this is an above average cheesesteak.
Oh.
I was very happy with Shorty's. And
This is in Queens?
no, they had one in Hell's Kitchen, and then they opened one up in Flatiron. So when I used to work at Ely, we used to go there because they would be open up late, and they had a bar. So we would go there, have a bunch of drinks, just get cheesesteaks, and it was the best.
That is great.
But after them, what's that place in Williamsburg?
Federoff's.
Federoff's is probably... They're tied for me as far as best cheesesteak outside of Philly with Chitty's.
Yeah.
I love, and this is not because I like worked with the Chitty's guys and did like commercial stuff with them. They are genuinely really good cheesesteaks, and they are also owned by like fantastic people that run a fantastic family business.
Yeah. Yeah. Side note to anyone who doesn't know, because if you're not in tune with the Queens cheesesteak world, the Queens New York cheesesteak world.
Well, they started Long Island too. Yeah.
Even better. But they have been in Citi Field for what now, 2 or 3 seasons?
This is, I think, their second
season.
I think. Yeah.
And then just opened a place in Astoria because you said they started in Long Island.
Yeah.
And you're right, they are tied for me with Federoff's is really good. I say Federoff's is too. I say that's my number 1.
So the only reason I think Federoff's is either tied or slightly above, and I can't confirm on the Chitty side. I know that on Federoff's, they get their rolls shipped in from Philly.
Oh.
So like
okay.
they get that bread like specifically made for cheesesteaks from Philly.
Yeah, I gotcha. I wonder what kind of bread they're using.
I don't know what it is specifically, but I know that they get it from a Philly bakery like every morning. Basically.
Okay.
And I
do
know,
like Chitty's bread though too.
Chitty's bread is great. There's nothing wrong with Chitty's bread. It's not bad. It's great. I guess just because it's a Philly thing, I put that.
You appreciate that
I
about it?
appreciate it a little bit more that they're going that extra mile to like make it as authentic as possible.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
But also, I love Federoff's. They're a little bit more expensive.
It definitely
Chitty's is a much better price point
Yeah.
than Federoff's.
No, it is. Definitely is. if Fedorow's that's one of those places again. I'm saying like where you have to spend like $18 for a cheesesteak.
It's too much.
It's too much.
Same quality. I
Yeah.
mean, I think Chitty's is quality wise as far as the meat and the other ingredients. It's right up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can't complain with them at all.
No, I personally think the Chitty's can go up against some of these bigger places that we're saying within the city limits of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think that if Chitty's opened up in Philly, they would be more than fine.
Yeah,
More than fine.
Not that people have really ever looked like. I feel like new cheesesteak places don't open up, but I mean, of course people do.
That's true, right?
Of course people do, because I mean, well, a place I've heard a lot about too. What is it? It's in Manayunk. Bar John is like a relatively new place.
JAWN?
JAWN.
Love
yeah.
that.
My buddy AK.
No
he
one
says that's his favorite in the city.
I would say John when I moved up here, and it just baffled everybody. No one knew what John was.
That's
and they're
funny.
like, "Who's John?" I'm like, "No, that John over there." Like, what does that mean? I'm like, "It's an everything. It's a noun. It's a verb. It's everything."
Yeah, I feel like it's almost become part of the lexicon now of just like, because I guess since you moved up here, I mean, we're talking like 15 years almost.
Yeah, 2008, I came up here.
Yeah, so it would be relative. So this is like before meme culture, even.
Yeah.
I feel like I do see John outside of like Philly.
Yeah. Now.
But yeah, right. But
yeah.
you're right though. Yeah, exactly. What did you say, John?
John who? No, like JAWN. What the fuck does that mean?
John is a fun word. John and dickhead, the two best or favorite words of a Philadelphia man. Give me that John, dickhead.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
It is. It is.
What a time.
Mets are kind of hot.
Yeah. I guess it's Grimace, is what everyone's saying.
That's where it started.
Full disclosure, I have not been paying much attention to the Mets. Not just because they were trash, but just, I just haven't been paying attention this season.
Yeah.
But they have been playing better, and I think part of it is that it's from what it sounds like, the vibes around the team are good. The coaching has been good, and they finally let Mark Vientos just play third base and like have us like, you're our third baseman right now. Now go play. And I feel like when a young player comes up, you can't bounce them around. Like, you're playing today, you're not playing for the next 3 days. Then you're going to play again, and you're going to DH. Oh, but then you're not going to play for 2 more days, and then you're going to be the third base. Like,
Yeah.
you got to give them structure, and you have to give them routine, consistency if you want them to be good. Every time that Mark Vientos was in AAA, he was raking. And then they just brought him up, and they would just dick him around and move him here, move him there. Now he's playing consistently. He's hitting over 300 right now. He's got like...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got, I think somewhere between 5 and 8 home runs or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, he's playing really well, but you have to let young guys play.
Yeah.
You can't bounce them. Like, that's like a veteran thing, You find the players who can do that later and let them do that. You can't... These young guys need to play. It's
Comfortability is a thing.
completely.
In any career or in any job, whatever, just like being comfortable.
Yeah.
You want to feel you want a certain level of uncertainty is gonna, for especially such a game like baseball that's so mental.
Yeah, and there's so much randomness to it.
A lot of
honestly,
randomness.
also, but I feel like, especially on this win streak that they're on right now, or I don't know I think they're still on it. They're getting back to like, you always want a team that never quite feels like they're out of it, whatever the game is. Like, down 5 runs in the 8th, they could come back.
Yeah.
And if you start getting that kind of energy around a team and they feel that, that's some dangerous shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's a team that they're going to fuck with anybody and they don't care. So
Yeah.
this has been a very small sample size. They're still, I think, under 500, but they're like a couple games out of the wild cards. They're like, they're back in it.
Not catching us.
No, absolutely not. But we'll see. This is a very small sample size, so can they keep doing that is the question.
Still a long season.
Very long season. The year that they went to I was about to say Super Bowl. The year they went to the World Series in 2015, they were dog shit that whole first half pretty much.
Yeah.
They had guys who I didn't know who they were in the starting lineup a bunch, and they were winning enough that they were still kind of in it, and then the whole thing right before the trade deadline, they go out and they got these really good like role player guys. They got Juan Uribe, professional hitters, Juan Uribe, Kelly Johnson, but they still needed that like one more. They needed like a bopper in the lineup, like someone that could be like, oh shit, this guy's coming up. And then they got, with like 2 minutes left on the clock before the trade deadline, they went out and they got Yoenis Cespedes. Oh. And then from there on, they were just rolling. And it's just
even Nick Castellanos,
yeah.
as they called him.
And I feel like, we talk about this all the time, baseball is a game of like when you get hot and how long you can stay hot for.
Sure.
And they stayed hot from the deadline literally through the NLCS. And then it just all fell apart in the World Series.
Yeah.
Which was the shame of it all. Because they were kind of playing above their head, it felt like. It felt like we were playing with house money that year. But you need that kind of energy around a team like that. So I say all that to say, that team, it always felt like, oh, they're in this game. They're in this game.
Yeah.
They can come back here.
Yeah, right.
They
you
can get
need
a big
to have
hit.
that factor.
You need to have that around a team if they're going to have long-term success, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm not a coach by any means, but I've been watching a lot of baseball.
What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck do we know?
Yeah.
But like, also, no, you're right though. Definitely right. Yeah, baseball. It's simple. That's why we like it.
Yeah, I can understand it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like notoriously one of the most like complicated as far as rules and everything.
I didn't realize how complicated it was until I tried to explain things to people.
Exactly.
Like Tiff asked me the other day, I forgot what it was, but it was it was something stupid that like that they say for us. Oh, she goes, what's a ribeye? I go, oh, he scored a runner. She's like, what? It's like, so they call it a ribeye because it's RBI and it looks like ribeye. I was like, It's a stupid thing that baseball people, like, I didn't realize how many stupid little things like that there are that like are in, like you said, like the lexicon of the sport, where you're like, an outsider listening to this must be like, what?
Yeah.
What are they a ribeye single? What does that mean?
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, literally, though. There's so much of that. It's such a complicated sport, and even just the rules are wildly complicated.
No, they are.
They
are. I've always appreciated that about it, though, too.
Yeah. Like I said to Tiff the other day, I said, I've been watching baseball for a lot longer than I haven't been. I would say 95% of my life I've watched baseball.
Yeah.
And today, I am still learning things about the sport I've been watching my entire life.
Yeah.
Like rules and like how they think to approach a certain, like, I think A, it's always changing, and B, there are rules that you've never heard of sometimes. When weird situations that you've never seen happen in a game pop up, and you're like, oh, what's the rule for that? What happens when that happens? You know what I mean?
And there is one.
And there is one. There's a rule for it. It's just such a crazy sport.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Always love baseball.
Yeah, forever. I'll always love baseball.
Frustrating sport. Just like, being invested in any team in general can be frustrating, but, not more than, I guess, other sports. But
yeah,
the sport itself, always love. Love the Angel Hernandez is out.
Oh, my God. What a blessing.
Yeah, true blessing.
What a blessing. I think that they just finally got so tired of social media. You can't, like... I didn't know who he was. I'd never heard of Angel Hernandez until, like, social media became a thing and, like, people could harp on it more. Like, look how terrible this guy is.
Yeah. I think I was aware of him years ago. But, like, so I'll say before social media, were you aware of, like, Joe West?
Yes.
And how he was always the worst, too. But even with him, it wasn't as, say, glaring, his balls and strikes. His problem was he was quick to pull the trigger on throwing people out.
Yes.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I've told you before, I would also be quick to pull the trigger. So here I am calling him a dickhead, but...
I'd be throwing people out left and right. If I thought you were trying to make me look bad, gone.
One-up me?
Yeah!
Yeah, no, get out of here.
Yeah,
your day is over,
done.
mister.
Done.
But you're right, though, Angel. People shouldn't know an umpire's name. So,
no,
like,
that's
MLB,
not their job. My job is not... Your job is for me to not know who you are.
Right.
I shouldn't even be thinking about you.
No.
No. If I know your name, it's bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure it just got to that point with them, and they were already getting a bunch of shit for just, like, other umps not being great too. Just that the balls and strikes over the league being called not well, and then he's just like going to be the poster boy of it.
Yeah.
Had to get rid of him.
It sounded like what happened was they basically bought him out
I think
to
so.
leave because there's no way the umpire union would be like, you have to leave. It's the same way that, like, no matter what a baseball player does, the union's going to protect that player.
Yeah, they have on both sides there. They have one of the strongest unions in any of sports.
Yeah. So there was no way that the umpires union was going to be like, oh, listen, Angel, you kind of fucking suck.
Yeah, right.
We got to let you go. I
Yeah,
know it just
right.
wasn't going to happen. So MLB had to step in and be like, all right, Angel, what do you want?
Yeah.
How much? Give us a number.
How much to get you the fuck out of
Yeah.
here?
How much so we never have to have you call a game in the sport again?
Yeah.
I don't know if that number came out, but of what they gave him.
Well, you know what me and Gavin decided actually on last episode? Tell me what you think of this idea. We thought of we have his next venture prepared for him.
Oh, God.
And I think this is great, honestly. Not even a bit. Banana League.
That is actually a fantastic idea.
Great for them because he's a name again.
Yeah.
We can know, but now we're going to see Angel Hernandez doing the Macarena. And shit.
And you know what? I'd pay to watch that.
Exactly. I will go to watch you, Angel Hernandez, there. A
Yeah.
dude who took himself way too serious, it seemed.
Yeah.
Just like,
That's why he
obviously-
would never do it, though.
But probably, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said last time, get over the ego, make fun of yourself. I laugh at myself all the time.
Too
I'm the
much.
funniest person on the planet. Laugh a little bit. Laugh a
real,
little bit,
though.
Angel. You'll be, and you know what? And I was saying too that like they play down south a lot.
Yeah.
It's obviously it's like less than half of an MLB season.
Yeah.
Obviously, because that would be like 80 some games. I think they play like 15, if that. And they
Enjoy
travel
your
a little bit.
retirement, Angel.
Enjoy some retirement.
You know what I mean? Have some fun. You get to stay around the sport you love, I hope.
A lot of these guys are college and former minor league guys, so it's like
Yeah.
you're watching fun, like just like the Harlem Globetrotters were good basketball players.
Yeah.
And we're just playing this crazy version of it.
Yeah.
Like it's still like, I don't know. Do it.
I would watch it. I would watch it.
This is my accepting the apology that you'll never give me. This is my gift to you, Angel.
You're welcome.
For so many years on the MLB, just
We're about to be your angel.
yeah. I'm gonna be furious if he does this. Also, and I just don't know. Let's round off with just 3. So I know last time you were here, we talked about 3 articles.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something similar, but we're gonna do 3 articles from the Hard Times. And I want to see what you think of them, and then maybe even see what your favorite is of them.
Gotcha.
Now, for people who don't know, the Hard Times is check them out on Instagram. Hard Times News, Hard Times in general. It's
They're fun.
memes, music memes, and I forget what they say. They say punk rock news or some shit, but
Yeah.
always kills me. But I love when they're
But
topical.
fake headlines.
Fake
though.
headlines.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
think The Onion, but like the punk
yeah.
younger brother.
yeah. Right.
Because this first one fucking killed me. Justin Timberlake writes entire album about how Long Island iced tea is a lying whore.
Yo, let me tell you something. Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
I'm saying though.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy. I had a feeling about him that he might be a piece of shit for a while, but I wanted to like believe all the like the public persona, like, oh, he's a funny,
Yeah.
he's a funny, wouldn't hurt a fly. He's the guy that was crying in the Punk'd, that first episode of Punk
Exactly.
because his dogs got taken. He can't be a bad guy.
I'm Jimmy Fallon's best friend.
Yeah, there's no he's a piece of shit, and meanwhile he's
No.
like forcing Britney Spears to get abortions and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, I read the Spark Note or the Cliff Notes of that, and I was just like, my God, that's terrible, Justin. You're not a good person.
Yeah.
So when I saw that in the mugshot, that was just fantastic.
Yeah, that honestly, I'm sure, hopefully Brittany had a good moment there. Hopefully when she saw it, and like, because that mugshot's rough. He was definitely crying.
Well, the best part about that, too, apparently he said, there's two great things about this arrest. First one being that he said that he had like a glass of wine, I think, or something like that.
Oh,
so that
right.
he was not drunk.
Yeah.
bro, you were either you were drunk or you were hysterically crying. One of the two.
Did you see what I saw? They quoted someone who was in the bar like earlier that night with him. I would say like an hour before he got pulled over.
No.
That he went to the bath, or someone went to the bathroom, left their drink, and Justin started drinking their drink, and they like came out and were like, "That's my drink," and he was like, "Oh, my bad." Like so he was that drunk.
He was that guy at the bar. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had one glass of wine.
Yeah.
And what? Some Ambien?
And some ambient. Was he saying racist things too? But by far, the best thing that I heard about this arrest was that the guy who arrested him had no idea who he was. Because he was like a young guy, I guess, that just didn't know who he was.
That's so funny.
So apparently he made some comment like, he said something like, "This is going to ruin the tour," to the cop. And the cop was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "My tour, it's going to ruin the tour." And he said the cop something like, "All right, buddy," and like threw him in the back of the car.
Sag Harbor, Long Island. Yeah, this cop gives a shit about your tour.
Yeah, no, but it was so good that like, "Don't you know who I am?"
Yeah,
He's
right.
like, no,
No.
shut the fuck up and get in the back of
Yeah.
the car. Like, all right, buddy. Yeah, your world tour is going to be ruined. You know, this drunk asshole is talking about how I'm ruining his world tour because I'm arresting him for a DUI. Like that just, I would have paid to see the look on his face when he realized that this cop had no idea. And A, didn't know who he was, and B, didn't give a shit who he was.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right. Even if, like, right, if we're to believe, like, say, okay, the cop believed, okay, he does have a tour, even though I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
I'm not that hip.
Yeah.
But it's still funny to be like, okay, dude, like, whatever.
Okay. There's just something for me that's so satisfying. I hate when people do the whole, like, "Oh, don't you know who I am?" Or, like, make that insinuation. Like, you should know who I am. So there's nothing
I do
better
hate that.
than them doing that in some way and the person genuinely being like, "I don't know who the fuck you are."
Yeah.
I
no,
love
that is
that.
great.
I
no,
love
that
that
is
so
great.
much.
No, I do love that.
Yeah, great.
100%.
So I love that article.
Yeah. Cry us a river, Justin.
Yeah. Fuck you, Justin.
Top 15 nicest places to get your ass kicked in Philadelphia. And now my question is, where, if you had to get your ass kicked somewhere in Philadelphia, where would it be?
If I had to get my ass kicked somewhere in Philadelphia, where would I get my ass kicked?
You get mugged.
Well, that's different. Mugged or ass kicked?
Beat up and your wallet taken, but you don't lose a whole bunch of money. They beat you up because they're annoyed that you don't have money.
Probably like a Wawa parking lot in Bluebell. Because no one's going to be that rough with me at a Wawa parking lot in Bluebell.
No, in Philadelphia.
That's technically Philly, isn't it?
In the city limits.
In the city limits?
Bluebell's
That's
Montgomery
true.
County.
That's suburbs. You're right.
You're getting your ass kicked in Philly.
I mean, probably still a Wawa, because people can't be that angry in a Wawa.
That's fair.
How many times have you been angry in a Wawa?
That's fair.
So if someone like mugs me and like hits me, like they're gonna be like, "Hey, fuck you!" Like, "Oh, look at that sizzly." Mm-hmm. You know, they're gonna be happy about it. You know.
Well, now I feel like a psycho for mine.
I want pain.
Underneath the Ben Franklin Bridge. I feel like it'd be iconic. like.
Ah, but look at that skyline.
Exactly. Coming out of Sugar House Casino at like 5 a.m.
I was trying to make it like light, and you're like, but I want a good aesthetic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm getting my ass kicked anyways.
You truly are an artist, Mitch. If I'm gonna get my ass kicked, I want to have a beautiful thing to look at.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay there for a little bit. I'm not getting up. I'm smoking a cig on my back. I'm chilling for a minute. I
That's
don't want
great.
the bad guys looking at me again.
I just want to be able to get snacks after. That's why I want the Wawa.
That's
you know?
fair. And yeah, if I'm getting my ass kicked under the Ben Franklin Bridge, there's not a lot of shit around there.
Yeah, where are you going after
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
You
true.
know?
We assume they took my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
People at Wawa are going to help you. They'll call
I'm an
the cops
adult.
for
Ben
you.
Franklin Bridge. It is.
I'm pitching Wawa hard. Bro.
Honestly, that works for aesthetic too, though.
Yeah.
Getting beat up in a Wawa, like
Just
an old,
look up and see the goose.
yeah,
You know.
like one of the older Wawas and one without gas.
The classy old school ones.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
those.
No, I agree. Now this shit killed me also. Pretty boy Steve Bannon petrified of what might happen to someone as good looking as him. Are you aware that he's going to jail?
No.
Yeah. So we should have led with that.
For what?
So whatever he was in court for, I forget specifically for what he's in court for. It was federal stuff.
Was it Trump stuff? I don't remember what
It might be related to him not testifying on stuff or something like that.
He does think he's very, very good looking, which is hilarious.
Which is so weird. Because it was this article was accompanied with a picture of him, which did not look like with like a cold sore and shit.
I mean, that's what he looks like all the time.
That's what he looks like.
He's got that like splotchy red skin, and then he's got the like long enough hair that he always does one of these where he just slicks the hair back with his hand, you know? Yeah, but like
you're right though.
But you're not Steve Bannon. You can do that.
Exactly. Quit taking my shit, Steve.
Yeah, he's trying to be Chris Mitchell.
I'm not bringing him.
Imagine he was just like, I'm just a big Chris Mitchell fan.
Oh my God.
What have I done?
What have I done? Isn't it crazy that I feel like he's someone who believes there's lizard people looking like that.
Yeah, that's a bold move. Because I mean, people could easily accuse you of being a lizard person.
I feel like if he told, he was like, Mitch, there's lizard people, I'd look at him and be like, oh, we know.
Yeah, bro, I'm looking at one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one right now.
No, we know.
That's great. I don't like that guy.
No, I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
not a fan. That's fine. I thought that you.
Did he endorse Trump, or is he another one of the former people that's like he should never be president again?
No, he's still with him.
He is? Okay.
Yeah.
I know that like 95% of his cabinet's like, fuck that guy, he should never be president again.
A lot of people, a lot of him. So, what did he? I don't even specifically remember what he did. He wasn't his chief of staff or anything ever, but he was. It was like early on, and then he left to do other stuff, and then he was doing like far right stuff in Europe or whatever. We're talking about Steve Bannon too much.
This is going off the rails.
Fuck him.
Moving on.
It's like when I unironically watch Alex Jones shit.
Yeah.
And then here we are an hour later.
The frogs are turning people gay.
like, oh, shit.
All right, Alex.
He got me again.
Time to log off.
Oh, God. That's a good way to end it. Talked way too much about Steve Bannon to end it.
Now you're going to leave it on a Bannon note, huh? That's great.
Cheesesteaks, Panthers, Steve Bannon.
What'd you miss? Anything you missed?
Yeah, you know what? We'll do this real quick. And you know what? Next time I have you on, we're going to go into a deeper dive about Adam Sandler.
Oh.
Specifically what we call the Sandler model. Which
Yes.
We won't touch on that. That'll be one of the things we won't touch on, and we'll touch on that next time.
Yes.
Something that, as writers, as hopeful producers, that we
Creatives.
kind of creators, a good kind of vision that we have in the way that he creates movies.
Yeah.
Give me just your top 3 Sandler movies. And they don't have to be in an order.
Wow, that's tough. Top 3 Sandler movies. Well, without even thinking about it, Wedding Singer is in there. I don't know where it is in there, but it's in there. I really want to throw a serious movie in there too, because he's so good in like dramatic roles. Honorable mentions. Reign Over Me, is that what it's called? Did you ever see that? Where he's the 9/11 widower. Mm-hmm. That movie is so good, and he's so talented in it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Uncut Gems, Punch Drunk Love. I'm gonna throw. Damn, this is like asking me, like, what's your favorite song? You know what I mean? There's so many great ones.
It's supposed to be tough.
I know. Well, definitely Wedding Singer. I feel like that's one to me that's.
So you got Wedding Singer and a serious one?
Yeah.
One of those 3?
Yeah.
And then one more.
And then I guess I'm gonna feel so dumb when I feel like I need to like look up his IMDb almost, because there's so many that I feel like I'm gonna miss.
Mine is, so I have
what
Wedding
are
Singer
yours?
also. I have Wedding Singer also. I like to
Big
be
Daddy?
different, and Mr. Deeds is always on mine.
Oh, that's a good one.
And Big Daddy. Big Daddy might be the one for me.
Yeah, I feel like Big Daddy has to be in there also. So probably Big Daddy, Wedding Singer.
For the bit, make it rain over me.
You know, I love Chuck and Larry. I loved Funny People, but that could have been like a half hour shorter.
It could have been. Funny People's so good, you're right, too. You're right.
I think if Funny People was a half hour shorter, it would probably be in there.
That's one of the funniest moments of Marshall Mathers on screen. Remember him seeing Ray?
Anger Management?
Anger Management's hilarious, too.
Because that could easily be in there also.
Yeah.
Damn. I feel like I have to. I want to put. Oh my God, Airheads. Damn, so good choices. I feel like I have to put a dramatic one in there. So it's gonna be like a 3 and 3A. So it would be like a tie between Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love.
Okay.
Because
good.
I love his performance in both of those. I love the directing in both of those. I love them both visually for different reasons.
Yeah. Punch Drunk Love's great visually. That would be my serious one, I would say.
I think
for
so.
him.
I
He
think
is
so.
he is really, really good. It's a great story. He plays that kind of like gone.
Yeah.
really, really well. Like he really does feel like a shell of whatever he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean,
One of the greats.
My goodness. Fantastic.
Love
Fantastic.
Philip.
Fantastic movie. Yeah.
I've wondered. I think I could play a lot of Philip Seymour Hoffman's roles.
You could.
And I think maybe
You
I need to
could.
fit that mold now.
I could see you being, what's his name in Moneyball? Art Hal.
Art Howe.
A young Art Hal.
Or his buddy in Sydney in is that his name in that Sydney? In Along Came Polly.
Oh, yeah.
So his funny roles, his not funny roles.
Yeah. You could do both.
Yeah.
I could see it.
If you've got an idea that you were like, damn, I wrote this for Philip Seymour Hoffman, and now he's gone, unfortunately.
He's back.
DM me.
He's back.
DM me. And on a shameless plug, we'll end it. That is how I want to end. Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's the step that we're going for.
There you go.
Thank you for coming back on. I appreciate it.
Of course.
As I guess the law of averages and numbers are showing, we're going to see you again real soon.
I'll
which
see
is
you in
good.
like 2 episodes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll see you. He'll be back again soon because every time it's so much fun.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother.
Of
Thank
course,
you again for
man.
coming
Love you,
on.
man. We'll do it again soon.
All right.
All right.
That's a wrap.
Good talk. We'll see you out there. Fuck you, Depot, for not calling or not answering.
You son of a bitch.